All right, good morning, everyone. How are you guys doing today? Welcome to Train and Trade. We are live here every trading day at 11 a.m. Eastern. Make sure you follow Tom's Telegram channel, dtitrader.com/Telegram. That is a free channel for you guys to get a little bit of extra information and know when some of our presentations are going on. We'd also like you to come and join us over at dtitrader.com/YouTube. If you want to continue to get notifications for that, make sure you click that little bell to subscribe. And if you like what you're seeing there, give us a thumbs up in the chat room. Always great to welcome in our YouTube listeners. Good to see you guys this morning. Now, we do have to make this clear. There is a very high degree of risk involved in trading. You and you alone are going to be responsible for the decisions that you make, so make them with all due consideration. Remember that past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. And let's get into it. This morning in Telegram, T-Buzz Talking Trade, Tom told us about a couple of things he's looking for. Number one, pivot number 7745, which we are currently well above. Magic 5 number, good after 10 a.m. Now, that's the focus on the what we're getting from Kevin Warsh, which we got at the end of RB3. You saw the uh, disturbance that was in the market. A little fun time there. NVIDIA 227.55. NVIDIA right now at 225.80. I think they made it up a little bit higher than that earlier, but we're waiting to see if they can get back above the 227.55. CRM, Crowd, AG, and QQQ also on that list. QQQ is screaming right now, 724.13. Had some nice movement on that side. Couple insights from Tom. Number one, market above 77.45 after 10 o'clock, and that would be 10 a.m. Eastern. Targets 77.75, and it absolutely did, and it did it very quickly. Saw the market make that jump up. After going down to 77.27, the market climbed back up through that 77.45 pivot and has now been up to a high of the day at 77.8250. And this was what Tom was saying 4 hours before that happened, almost 5 hours before that happened, actually. Strategy, wait to after 10 before new positions, and that certainly would have been helpful for those of you that might have been a little bit surprised by the turbulence the market gave us. Silver has a pep in its step. Weekend side hustle, last trade of the week, and SpaceX grinding higher. SpaceX right now 142.69. It's been up to 143.29 from an open of 139.82. Crude market opened at 83.67, high of only 83.78, so just above the open. Went down to 82.25. It's back up at about 83.1, still down for the day. FTD levels, well, we've got those. The question I've got right now, will we stay inside that FTD range? It looks like we're certainly going to stay above the August open, but can we get above 78.20 before the end of the month? News, well, Iran is always an issue, especially going into the weekend. Remember that Monday will be the last day of August. That, of course, will make Tuesday the first day of September. For those of you thinking, well, wait a second, when is Labor Day? Labor Day is always the first Monday in September, which means it won't be until not next week, but the week after. Tom, live trading, I'm sure you guys had a wonderful time. I'm looking at the market. I don't see how you couldn't. How was that? How did you guys enjoy it? Tom, I got to get you to turn on your mic.
Hey, you could be on
There
the
we go.
wrong side. You could be using moving averages or something like that, or relative strength or whatever. You could be on the wrong side. Don't, don't ever, don't ever. Chuck likes this. Don't ever discount what we do.
Yeah, certainly, timing is a big issue there.
It's
We,
everything.
yeah,
It's
we
everything.
talked about it yesterday. You emphasized in the T Buzz Telegram. We knew that Kevin Warsh is. It wasn't just him speaking. It was, of course, and you and I have been through this all the time. Whenever the Fed chair of the Fed, is going to speak, they release the speech, the entirety of the speech written out to the press at the same time they start speaking. So, it wasn't the way he said hello, it was that the press now had the information.
Well, let me just tell people, I have been following the Fed ever since the Volcker days. I got quite a history understanding how to take advantage of the Fed. Now, for years I'd do live trading during a Fed event. That was a big event I did all over the world. For the exchanges, people would come to me as the expert on analyzing how to trade the Fed. Well, I retired from doing that, I guess a few years back. Every now and then I'll do one just for the fun of it. But what I saw, and I want people to understand this, what I saw, everybody's been, y'all remember the first Fed meeting, everybody was convinced, even the probabilities had it, he was going to raise rates. Y'all remember that? I want to remind you, there was one guy that said he's not going to raise rates. That was me telling you, that's bull. He's not raising rates. What they failed to do is understand um, the nonverbal signs. And he came up with this tactic of creating committees. Has anybody ever worked on a committee trying to come up with a solution to a problem? Do they ever hit their deadlines, these committees? Doesn't it seem like you get people in those committees and they talk it to death or whatever, and the Fed's really good at that, right? Yeah, it's like herding cats, right? And so when he came up with that idea, I said to myself, oh, we're going to be talking about these committees until after the election.
Midterms. Yeah.
Yeah, I said that's an easy one. And so everybody else is saying, hey, rates are going up, all this. Then when the rates got to a critical point, you got a 1-2 punch. You got the best Treasury Secretary in my lifetime. He came in and guess what? Rates are a lot lower than they were last week. Okay. And they took some criticism, but who cares as long as he does what he does, right? And so today it was a rope a dope strategy. Does anybody remember the fight that was made famous? Y'all remember the year that was made famous? Rope a dope strategy?
The rumble in the jungle.
I know you know. I was just seeing if everybody else knew, Chuck. But the bottom line is he roped the dope. What he did was he talked about this, he talked about that, he talked about this, he talked about that. At the end of about 15 minutes, I started removing negative delta. Now, if I say I'm removing negative delta, what does that mean that I'm doing? Just give me an example if you know what I mean if I say I'm removing negative delta. Okay, I recognize that about, I guess S&P wise, about 52, I started doing it. And then I said my target would be, and I get out of all of it when I remove negative delta. I don't play around. But I said my target is a number I've been telling you, 77, 75. And I said in that period of time, I go in and I take some profits on basically legging out of a lot of things. And then after we get to 75, the rest of the day I spend on the positions I'm going to keep adding some negative delta back in because I don't like taking options overnight. And so if I ever say to you, I've got the gas to the floorboard, that means I don't have any negative delta. We'll use that term in the future. Okay? No negative delta. And because I try to, it's easy for me if you learn. I spent a month teaching you how delta work, and we still review it with you. But I spent a month where you'd get the concept down. If you add positive delta, that's bullish. If you add negative delta, that's bearish. And putting them together, it reduces your downside. And there'll be times that I do that, over time. So if you hear me say that, that's what I mean. Give me a yes if you understand that simple language. Okay. Now in live trading this morning, is Benny here? Benny was asking about was I done in live trading? I'm not. I'm just getting started. Uh, and so anyway, I just want to throw that out there if Benny was here. Jonathan, try to find Benny's number. I'm gonna call Benny because he was a little confused that I guess I was done with live trading. I'm just getting going.
Yeah, done with the event, not with the action.
There you go. Good way of saying it, Chuck. So we got it straight about, well, you got to read TNT, Bruce. Did I tell you in TNT
Well,
I would start looking at the market after 10? Hey, Benny, put your number here. I want to talk to you. I want to make sure you maximize this live trading. Put your number here. I'm going to call you.
well, Tom, I can see right here at way earlier this morning. Market above 77.45 after 10, target 77.75.
Read
See, it
that,
was pretty
Bruce?
clear.
That's pretty clear, isn't it? I
Now
told you.
that was in T-Buzz TNT. So if you want to have access to that, make sure you go to
Well, Bruce is there.
dtitrader.com
You just
slash
got to learn
TNT.
to read.
Yep.
I don't put stuff in there just to hear myself talk. That's why I do a T-Buzz TV in the morning less than 3 minutes. I can tell you more in 3 minutes than you can learn listen to somebody else for an hour. I'm here to make money and I'm here to let you make money listening to me. Let's get that straight. Hey, Benny, put your phone number here. I want to call you. I'm going to make sure you're smiling from ear to ear when I do finish live trading. Okay? I put 3 trades on in live trading today. We updated a couple others. They look great.
All right. Sounds great. Now, Tom, let's talk a little bit about. Actually, hang on. I need to refresh these slides. Jonathan's made a few changes. All right. So let's talk about next week. Next week's topics on Monday, last trade day of the month. What does it tell you when you put it in perspective? I think that's going to be a big deal. Of course, Tuesday, using the monthly high and low and the first day of September. So we start creating that FTD, and we got day one on Tuesday. Early trend analysis with technology. On Thursday, day trading stock. And on Friday, the unemployment report, which of course will come out directly after we've set the high and low of the first 3 days of the month. So, chance here that news could kickstart something as well as breaking the range of the FTD. So, we'll see how that plays out. I'm really looking forward to that, especially Thursday and Friday. But as you know, and Tom will tell you guys this all the time, you got to prepare so that you can take action. So that's what Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday are all about. So we'll get prepared for that Thursday, Friday session. Should be a lot of fun. Now, our past 5 train and trade sessions go back to Friday of last week, talking about gold and silver. Monday, talking about commission costs. Tuesday, trade day positioning for September. Notice we already started prepping way back then. Wednesday, making technology pay. And yesterday we talked about using Delta when trading the SPY. And of course, Tom put all that information into practice in the live trading session earlier today. Take a look at the August FTD stocks. Refresh slides again. Okay. Let's see. Am I missing something? Yep. All right. So we've got a slide here, ZC. So, well, I can tell you, even if I don't see that symbol, that's one heck of a trend right there. You see the way that market's moving up, and well, that looks pretty powerful. So, what do you guys think? Anybody tracking? What is that? Corn? December corn? You can see
Yeah,
right
I
there.
know
Yeah,
Tom
day
wanted to
before
say a word
close.
about corn. Obviously, he's making something happen there in the background.
Give me a
But
second. Give me a
yeah, yeah,
second.
just give Tom a second. He'll be back. Just hang on here, Chuck.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, I can tell you just looking at it, and this is a just looking through. It's on swings. So that's going to be a daily chart. You'll notice the time here. You've got the date 8/28. Got the open high low and close of that bar, but you can just look back at those previous daily bars and you see where corn kind of took off. This is re- early August, before the 15th, when you have that nice big green bar. And, just going back, you can see this kind of up and then down and then explode out. So finishing out the month of August on a big high kicker as corn just takes off up to that high of 541.25 earlier today.
Let me
And
tell you a
as
story. I got a client. He's new. He happens to be on vacation, but he signed in. I'll take my hat off to him. Last week, he reported he had made off my corn call. Not trading big. It's not. He's not trading big, but he made over $11,000, and he had his wife verify it because she didn't. I don't think she was in shock that he made that much money trading. Well, anyway, I actually talked to him last night. Yeah, I talked to people on vacation. I talked to him last night, and I said, "Hey, this corn's going into a different phase." And I might have told this story this week. I probably did. Anybody that would listen, I said, uh, "Bill Sample, are you here?" I don't know if Bill's here or not. Is Bill here? Bill told me a story about his son selling corn, December corn, at $6 and a quarter. Well, most people say, "Wow, that's great." I thought, if he sold that corn, he's a farmer. If he sold it 6 and a quarter for December, then December corn's going higher. Therefore, I changed the strategy. Not only was I selling puts, I'm doing spreads now. And but that's how you listen in a market that's very, very lucrative, like corn, and you take advantage of it. Also, about a month ago, I told people join my futures first. I'll show you how to pay for it with a scholarship. And Sandy's here. The very first trade Sandy did with me was on corn. She didn't know how to do it. And I said, Sandy, call Schwab and get them to walk you through it. Now she's traded corn several times now. She's got the gist of it. But corn is headed, in my opinion, to 575. That's the next stop. So get it. Jonathan, put the link in there for Futures First in case somebody wants to join because that's quite a deal. Futures First. Anyway, I wanted to bring that out about corn.
Yeah, and definitely a big, strong move. And there you go. There's the link. Get involved. dtitrader.com/futures.
It costs you money every day you're not involved with me with futures.
Yeah, and Tom, you can just see from this chart how strong this market was, and I don't see any signs of it weakening anytime soon. So that
Well,
575,
it doesn't go
yeah,
straight up, but it is
no,
going to. The strategy I've come up with has been a solid strategy. It was taught to me many years ago by a man named H.L. McFarland. Used to work with me.
yeah, good old Mac. Yeah, the one thing I'm noticing here from a trending perspective, like we go back and look at this run, and let me put my cursor over here so you guys can see what I'm pointing at. Starting about right down here, which was the bottom of that sell zone, one of the things you'll notice that corn market hasn't made a lower low on a daily basis in a significant amount of time. So that was one of the things I always like to pay attention to the backside of a trend that lets me know how strong it is. All right, so let's get in FTD stocks. And this is kind of interesting, guys, because some of these markets still have a little bit to prove here. Now you see the VIX still with that red flag, and that's going great down to 14.18. Tom, you remember when that VIX was above 20?
Of course, I do.
Seems like a lifetime ago. An FTD high this month of 1843, and it has continued pushing down. We come down here and look at some of these commodity markets, and we've got what crude, gold, silver, all giving us that long flag. Come on down, you'll see corn. We got wheat, we got soybeans. So we got a lot of strength in the market on the commodity side of things. And then we get down here to some of these ETFs. We get the gold mining stocks. Um, just continuing to show off their strength. FCX, AGQ, SLV, Pass, NEM, Hecla, KGC, GLD, GDX, FCX, all over the place. Apple continues to be a strong part of the market, sitting there with that green flag well above that FTD high at 311.8. Of course, we'll have another one coming up next week. Airbnb has been on a tear. We'll see if they continue that run. Start getting into a little bit of red coming up with stocks like Air, Amazon, AppLovin. We'll come down to Broadcom and AVAV and get down to, it looks like Cerberus also down. Now, Tom was highlighting CRM, Salesforce, and CrowdStrike, and you can see that Salesforce is just on a tear. CrowdStrike, yeah, it's a little bit, we lost that green flag, but get it back above 219.35. We'll see how that plays. And keep coming down the list. We start getting a little bit rainbow, little mixed readings as we go. These are in alphabetical order. And let's see, what is this? Tesla looking great. SpaceX also looking pretty good. Those two are going to be compared to each other a lot. And what else is standing out here? It looks like Palantir, great. NVIDIA, this is one we know Tom loves. NVIDIA, 223.97, above the FTD high at 222.22. So things look great on that side of things. Tom, anything in particular you're looking at on the FTD list?
I'm about to do a new one for my to get started on the month of September.
Mm-hmm.
I think that one that I would really, I've been talking about, sort of bought it on the dip. 360 was Avco. It's at 373. I like this Avco stock. I'm gonna have a strategy for it for the month of September. It's gonna blow people away now that I've been trading it for 30 days. Uh, SpaceX keeps grinding higher. My target was 145 next stop. Uh, I don't know, Chuck. I think we're doing pretty good, honestly, with everything that
Yeah,
we're
I got a
doing.
great list. I can't wait to see what those stocks on the September list are. We'll get those next week. But let's go ahead and get back into our slides here. And let's see. So let's see. Today's session, matching strategies to the season. Lessons learned from the Stock Traders Almanac. And I think Jonathan's going to take over the screen in just a second here. Yep, there we go. So I'm going to sit back listening to what Tom and Jonathan have to tell you guys. I'll be learning a little bit just as long as it's right along with the rest of you. So let's enjoy this, see what we can learn.
Yeah, thanks, Chuck. And Susan in the chat there, I sent your message over the customer support team. We'll take care of you today. All right. But every time we're talking about seasonalities, we got to mention the Stock Traders Almanac. And of course, yep, Yale Hirsch, the founder of this, and his son has taken over Jeffrey Hirsch. And we've had Jeffrey Hirsch, Tom has had Jeffrey Hirsch on two or three times in the past year. So if you've been involved with train and trade over the past year, you've enjoyed that. I'm sure. I'm certain of that. Jeffrey Hirsch, the Stock Traders Almanac, tons of great insights from a seasonality perspective. So let's look at a few today. Before that, this is Jeffrey's trading philosophy. Those who understand market history are bound to profit from it, is his quote. And I didn't do that justice, so let me repeat it. From Jeffrey Hirsch, his trading philosophy. Those who understand market history are bound to profit from it. Straight from Jeffrey's mouth there. Let's look at this year's almanac for some insights from September, upcoming September. So number one, this was the very first insight in the book. The month of September is the biggest percentage loser on the S&P Dow and NASDAQ since 1950. And we always like to use some tools of the roadmap that we have that can kind of compare some data to that just to verify. We have a feature inside the roadmap called the DTI code. For all you roadmap users, it's under the launch menu. Oh, excuse me, it's under the scans menu now. Under the scans menu called DTI code. It's pretty simple to work. Just launch it and then type in the ticker that you want to look at. And we look at the past 10 years of data. I did so on the SPY. And you can see, sure enough, roadmaps data confirms, at least on a 10-year basis, the same thing that the Almanac confirms all the way back to 1950.
I want to make a comment about that. For years, I took that as verbatim when I read that September was a bad month or, negative in a bull market. And I took it that way. But I have a secret weapon today. Does everybody know what my secret weapon is to determine whether to be long, short, or out in September? What is my secret weapon that I use? It's based on probabilities, and and that's right, the 3-day algo, Bob. You got it. I will take those odds over anything in the past because it's taking the current market and putting it in context. If I'd have had that 5 years ago, 10 years, in fact, you know, I actually sent that to Jeffrey and said, you really ought to include this in your next deal. And hadn't heard back whether he was going to do it or not. But the whole point is that is so valuable to us. That's why we go through this spreadsheet that we have to lay it out, and when you'll see as we build the blocks. You will find people that work with us here at DTI learn a process when it comes to trading. Where you get in, how do you allocate, where you're wrong. We're not just telling you we're up 30 or 40%. You can see that for yourself in your account when you check us out and do stuff, right? And so learning that process, especially, if you can be face to face. That's why the classes that we have, the small classes, are sold out the next March. People see it for themselves and they go, this is the way to get good at this game of managing your own money, which is what you want to be. Okay. And, I just got a couple things that I will add that says that is quite a deal. The other factor I have is the roadmap software MTI by DTI. That helps me also. Okay. Uh, anyway, I just think that anytime that I can bring something to light to you, the student, it helps me because everybody checks this out, right? They decide to use it or not use it. I got Edwin. Edwin's back in the swing of things. Uh, Edwin's story is he deviated, and then he realized he better get back to what works, which is DTI, and he's been signing up for classes, one-on-ones, and everything because he knows how valuable it is. And it's easy. You hear things out there, and it sounds easy, doesn't it? I mean, you hear a lot of stuff. Well, my approach is let me teach you how to do it and make myself look good, make Chuck look good, make Jonathan look good, you know, and uh, and I think that's the right approach. That's what we do. This is the 30-year anniversary of DTI. We didn't get here overnight. Anyway, I wanted to make that comment about September.
And look what David just posted. Your observations from this AM resulted in a $15,000 win today for us.
And you say, way to go. But he's been trading a long time. He spent a lot of money to learn this stuff. And the value's there once you get the process down. And you can add or subtract to it, but the bottom line is that that's what you're going to do. Okay? And anyway, like I made a statement this morning in live trade. I said, you can buy that CRM rather than buy the option, and you can buy it at 260.55. It went to, I think, 264 after that. I got to look at the high. That's an example. It was a process. And I'll say what I said in live trading to everybody. If I tell you I'm doing an option, chances are I'm doing a stock too. I like both. Anyway, I wanted to comment on that slide. Great slide. That's what most people are looking at coming in September, and you'll hear and talk about September. Not me. I'll be looking at the 3-day algo to find out the truth.
Yeah, so let's look at insight number 2 from the almanac. The day after Labor Day, the Dow has been down 13 of the last 16 years. And of course, Labor Day is Monday, September 7th. Markets are closed that day, stocks and futures. And at least I believe so, futures wise. And then the next day would be Tuesday, September 8th. Of course, we'll have the 3-day algo by then. And we'll have a lot of information by then as well. Insight number 3, the S&P has opened strong 18 of the last 30 years, but tends to close the month weak due to end of quarter window dressing, some portfolio restructuring as we head in. Of course, at the end of September, we'll be heading into the last quarter of 2026. We'll have a lot to talk about then as well, always does at the start of October.
Favorite quarters coming up.
Insight number 4 is September's triple witching week can be dangerous. And Jeffrey says the week after tends to be pitiful. Now, what's happening the week of September, week 3 of September, which is when the quarterly expiration is on the options and whatnot. You have 2 things happen, very important, that tend to cause a little bit of chaos in the trading world. Index futures roll over on Monday of that week. And of course, when that happens, you have some inconsistencies in the volume, between the contracts. And then you also have the Fed meeting. It'd be the 3rd Fed meeting under Warsh. The 3rd time, we'll get a rate decision, and the 3rd time we'll hear from Warsh as far as an FOMC statement goes and Q&A. So that's a big week in the markets for September. And yeah, those 4 insights is what I was able to grab from the almanac this morning. You roadmap users, make sure to utilize this DTI code. Again, it's under the scans menu, cool feature. You can actually click set years and you can go to individual years on back, but the set years default gives you the past 10 years, give you some month by month seasonality trends and whatever stock you're looking at. If you're doing it on like the S&P, make sure you use the SPY or the SPX, XSP. Don't use it on the S&P futures because that's a contract, obviously, that rolls over time. So just be aware of that. Labor Day, markets closed on Monday, September 7th. That's not this coming Monday, but the Monday after. Revert to the 3-day algo that we can do at DTI to catch the trend, and be aware of that 3rd week of September when we have futures rollover and the FOMC. Always good to look at season. Now, we tend to do this at the end of each month or at the beginning of the next month just to prepare, see what kind of insights we can pull in from the almanac. Almanac is, a book we purchase every single year. Like I said, we've had Jeffrey Hurst on, thanks to Tom, and I want to post his website because he does have a nice website. You can purchase the book every year from there. He has some subscriptions too. All right.
If you sign up with him, send an email, say you heard us bragging on him, okay?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, we're gonna go live.
Yeah, let's go live here, and I'll bring up a 30-minute chart of the S&P futures as we are kicking off the Genesis bar. All right, so if you've been tuned in this week, you know that Tom gave a target of 77.75. He reiterated it this morning while we were live for Trade to Win, and it hit 77.75 while we were actually in the live session.
Now, let me tell you, I've got to update you. I think that the high, all-time high is 78, 38, I think, if I remember correctly, 78, 38. And I actually told people yesterday that were listening, I said, I don't know how they're going to do it. I think we've got a rally that's going to take us to that all-time high. It looks like it's going to play out in the next week. But the problem with Friday or with Monday, I'll just tell you, there's a lot of usually selling that goes on the last day of the month, which is Monday. So I don't know how that's going to play out. I'll look at Sunday night and give you a better thing on Sunday night's planning. But I can tell you that I do think we'll see it maybe as early next week in September. So I guess it's possible we could see it today, but it would take a continuation day and for the market to scream. And I don't see that happening, not with the main stock. Put NVIDIA in there real quick. NVIDIA is correcting today, and if NVIDIA was on point going higher, then you probably would. Okay, and yeah, good. Thank you. All right. Well, we got to see how the day develops, but that's what I got. What I'd like to do, Jonathan, is take a 5-minute break. I need to call you before we go back live in 5 minutes. Let me call you if that's okay. And then we'll come back in 5 minutes. You want to put a clock up for 5?
Yep, I will do that. Sure will.
Tell you what, while you guys are on the 5 minute break, we're going to talk about this a little bit more next week. But that holiday schedule, of course, Monday, September 7th, as Jonathan said, the NYSE will be closed. At the CME, when you have a Monday holiday, that means that futures markets will be open, tracking what's occurring in the rest of the world. So they open as normal Sunday night, but it's for Tuesday's trade date. So what happens is we have that Sunday night open, trade all the way through the European cash close. We have a halt in trading a little bit after that, 1 o'clock Eastern. And then the futures resume trading at 6 p.m. Eastern. That would be Monday night. And they'll continue trading until the normal close on Tuesday. So that'll be a fun day for futures. But basically, you're going to have something out there that's tracking what's going on. So you don't come in on that next Tuesday after the Monday holiday blind. We've got some pretty good information that the market's providing us throughout. So for you future traders, keep an eye out for that. Remember, you can always find that information if you go to cmegroup.com. They have a trading calendar and it gives you some pretty in-depth information, not just on the E-mini S&P, but also on any other commodity that you might like to trade. In fact, the link I just posted is the link for the CME Group trading hours, specifically for the Labor Day holiday. All right, guys, one thing I do feel the need to reiterate, um, that Labor Day holiday is not this upcoming Monday. It's the one after. It is September 7th, not August 31st. And for those of you aware, of course, it's always because it is the first Monday in September. A little bit confusing with the first day in September being a Tuesday, but we're going to have 4 days of September before we have the Labor Day break. And then we'll have technically our fifth day of September will be that Tuesday following Labor Day. So that's going to be a lot of fun stitching that together. So we'll get our first 3 days all intact before we take our Labor Day break. Any questions? You guys got any concerns about how the holiday calendar looks? Apparently not too many, but again, that website, cmegroup.com/trading-hours.html. All right, guys. Tom and Jonathan are going to be back with us in just a bit. Let me just regroup here and let's talk about the September Almanac highlights once again. We've got the month of September. We can see that DTI code SPY. And by the way, if you have a compass chart, you can click over to the DTI code tab and get this on any individual chart. But you'll see that September is uh, negative 1.43. That for the SPY. So that's what that is. Number two, the day after Labor Day, the Dow has been down 13 of the last 16 years. Labor Day is Monday, September 7th. We took a look at that Labor Day holiday. Uh, Yom Kippur begins sundown on September 20th. Okay, so it's a little bit further into the month, and it's nightfall. Yeah, that's part of what makes September what it is. Of course, September Almanac Insights. The S&P is open strong, 18 of the last 30 years, but tends to close the month weak due to end of quarter fund portfolio reconstruction. That's another thing. September is the third and final month of the third quarter. Almanac Insights number 4. September's triple witching week can be dangerous. That is the week after is pitiful. All right, so the week of September or week 3 of September, which will be the 14th through the 18th. So we've got August ending, right? Then we have that first week of September where we got 4 days. Then we have the Labor Day holiday, so we've only got 4 days in that second week, and then that third week we're going to be transitioning into the December contracts. Expiration is always the third Friday of the expiring month for index futures. So be aware of that. Expirations on the 18th. We're actually rolling when we come back from Labor Day weekend. So or at the end of that week. So be aware of that. So that week 3, September 14th through 18th, will begin trading the December contract, and that always puts in a little bit of extra. And of course, the FOMC meeting occurring that week as well. So lots of fun stuff. We're on the Let's Go Live chart, and we'll just put you over here. We'll look at what that market's giving us. Let me take you into a live roadmap. Let's see what we got going on. Market's backing up a little bit on the Genesis bar. Let's get this into do our charts here, and let's see. Yes, buy target. Tom mentioned the 78, 38, 50. See how that lines up against NASDAQ and a few of those ETFs. The support, let's take a look at yesterday's low, 7702.75, to see how that lines up. Let's go in here and just pull up the S&P futures. Now you can see on the swing chart the way that this market is moving. So we've been a nice big rally at the end of July, start of August, and kind of float higher, pull back, and we're floating back. You see this kind of real flat market, really, from after those first few days of the month of August. And here's what our 30-minute chart looks like in the S&P futures. RB3 kind of hard to tell there because the open and the close are about the same price, but you get that little move there. And of course, we had the reaction to Kevin Warsh's statement. And then, of course, the market went on its little run, climbing up from around the 77.42 area, crossing Tom's 77.45 pivot, getting above the high of the previous bar, and running all the way up to 82.50. Now we've got the market pulling back a little bit. We're still above the 77.45. We've got about 10 minutes before we complete RB3. But what does the market look like to you right now? What do you guys think? What are you seeing?
Hey, Chuck, I don't know. Are you in control of the video? My video is not working.
I've got or your video. I don't have control of your video, I don't think, but
No, I
we do it.
mean, it's saying when I click the video, it says
Kelly Barber.
you can't start it.
Are you talking about the image that everybody's seeing in the Zoom room, or are you talking about your camera?
Do you see me right now?
I do not see you, no.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Now I do see the roadmap, and I see the E-mini S&P, and I see that volume spike at RB3, and I see it kind of slacking off a little bit. Genesis bar coming back down towards the pivot number at 77.45.
Hey, Tom, I
CNBC.
just requested for you to start your video again. Apologies, didn't realize it was on me to. Once I cut your video, I guess it takes the host to ask you to start it up again.
Okay, so Besant just instituted the most stringent, severe set of. Okay. So basically, Iran news. We knew that that was always going to be a factor in the market. Hologram hovering over Sawgrass. Okay, there we go. Let's see. See how the markets play through here. Now let's take a look at a few stocks. Let's go in and check out Nvidia, everybody's darling stock, and you can see what they're doing today. As Tom mentioned, a little bit of profit taking after their big run. This is what the daily or the 30-minute chart looks like. You can see how the market has been pulling back. It did try and go up a little bit with RB3, but Nvidia did a lot of heavy lifting, and you can see how far up they are above
Chuck,
where
it
they
says I
were before
can't
the earnings
start my
report.
there it is.
Yeah, your video's all
It's
set,
good
Tom.
now. Well, it
All
was.
right.
Where'd it go?
Tell you what, let's take a look at
There, I got it
gold.
now. Okay.
All right, gold coming off a little bit off of a high point, but having a great August when we look at that performance there. And let's see, I think bonds, Tom. The bonds are going to be kind of a big deal, aren't they?
Yeah, bonds are going to go higher in price. Let me get caught up real quick looking at the market. I got
Yeah.
distracted there, and the market went from 77, 75. It's pulling back to 45. Genesis obviously topped out. The problem is Nvidia is correcting. It's 222, 222.04 right now. And I don't know. We'll see if it gets a bid here. It's too early to tell about that, but it is down at the low end of the Genesis bar, and that's all happened in the last what is it? Last 15 minutes. Okay, so my call of putting some negative delta on once it hit that 75 was a pretty damn good call. Unfortunately for me, I got tied up and I had to put it on late.
Well, Tom, I think if you're patient enough with this market, I think there's more to come. I don't think it's done quite yet.
Well, I know, Chuck, but I'm talking about some pretty large positions, okay? I mean, real large, okay?
Gotcha.
So, so, you know, I mean, anyway.
Yep. All right, so let's look at that S&P and see
But
how
anyway,
it.
I want everybody to learn. Notice it. This is a lesson here. Notice that NVIDIA was the reason this market rallied. Everybody got behind it. Everybody agree with what I'm saying there. Well, when the reason for the rally starts headed the other way, you got to start getting a little nervous. That's a relative sign, and then you look and you say, okay, what is AMD doing? What is other stocks doing? You'll see they're pulling back. When we started this presentation, Avco was 371. It's now 368. Does everybody understand the tape reading aspect of what I'm saying? It's so important to understand that. And Dex is pointing out the yields at 471. So the yields popped up a little bit, right? Okay. So what you're seeing is a Friday correction on this, and I'm not so optimistic as Chuck is that it's going to turn around today after that kind of sell off, but it might, and you got to be patient, you know.
Well, I don't know if it'll happen today, but one of the things about the market, you can be a bit of an eternal optimist, and there's obviously going to be some sweat along the way, but markets do eventually go higher.
Yeah. The problem with that with options, Chuck,
Yeah. It might wait until after expiration of your. Yeah.
or it might wait till this afternoon, okay?
Yep.
And you got options that were a dollar higher now or a dollar lower. And if you're talking real money, which I am, that
Yeah.
gets your attention, is all I'm saying, Chuck.
Definitely.
So, if I had Coca-Cola stock like you did, I'd probably be worried either. See, Chuck forgets I know what he owns, or most what he owns.
It does make a little bit of a difference.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, yeah, it does. Anyway, let's come back around. Corn's got a bid. It's going higher. It's 539 right now. The market's pulled back quite a bit. And SpaceX, which was grinding higher at 143, has dropped 4 points to 139.70. Okay. And Buck, here you got to listen, buddy. What did I say my target was today? I want you to tell me, what was my target on the S&P? Did we hit 78.75? Am I planning on taking these options overnight naked? No. So you start selling Delta at that target price the rest of the day to get you back in a no harm position. That was the point I was making about having the target. And let me tell you, 30 points on the S&P is significant in that short period of time. We're back to where we are before we had the rally. That's the point I'm making.
Oh, wait, sorry, I got the wrong symbol up there. I'm getting ahead of myself, Tom. I'm trying to put December in. So here's your.
Yeah, when's the rollover?
That's going to be the same. Let's see. First Friday is going to be next week. The second Friday is the week after Labor Day. So that third week, we're going to be on the December contract. So our first 2 weeks, first September weeks, 4 days each, are going to be still on the SEP, and we'll be on the December for the third week.
Okay.
And let me just go ahead and see me take a look at the holiday calendar here. Scroll down in here. This is what Labor Day looks like. And we focus on equities. And I don't know how much this is really going to tell us, but it's just your typical Monday holiday where we open Sunday night, we halt and then resume on Monday, and we trade to the regular close on Tuesday, and then get back onto the normal schedule. See, we got grains, metals doing about the same thing. Looks like they stay open a little bit longer for you gold bugs out there. Got livestock, lumber, dairy, FX, grains. Kind of interesting here on grains, Tom.
All right, make a point. We need to move on.
All right. Let's see, getting back to our slides. Of course, limited time on the best pricing. Do not delay. Weekend Profit Club, dtitrader.com/WPC, 904-706-3532. Only $9.68 for new elite members, typically $24.97 for 1 year. So we're going to give you guys a deal here. And I think Jonathan mentioned something about some of our extra slides here. So we've got what, 2-day high-speed time-saving way to
Yeah,
trade.
let me cover this if you don't mind, okay?
All right.
Jonathan, are you here?
Yeah, Tom. I've added as much as I can probably in the time given.
Yeah, okay. So it's inside here what I asked you to add. Okay.
Yes, it is.
Folks, I wanted to talk about this because this weekend I worked with Jonathan. We've been pretty what I would say doing a lot. and we had a couple miscues, and I wanted to make sure because we kick off this high speed thing this weekend, and I want to make sure that everybody understands the power of what I'm doing because I added something that I think is going to blow your mind as we go forward. I'm going to add some other stuff because my goal is to really show you how this game is played between now and next April. Okay, and I think that's the location, beautiful location. Who has been to the plantation where I'm talking about right now? Let me ask that question. Who's been there? Anybody hear me? Yeah. Okay. Carol has. Okay. Bill's been there. It's a beautiful place. The food is off the charts. It's really a good place to do this. I've never done a large crowd like I'm doing. 25 is the number, and I'm pretty excited about it. Make sure it works out everything that we're trying to do there. But I know that part of the part of the issue sometime is having a good location, good internet, and good food. And we got all three of those covered there at the plantation. It's April 26th and 27th next year. So why am I spending so much time on it? Because it's not just about the 2 day seminar. It's about everything included along the way. Okay. And let's see, I might have to blow that up to read that. That's pretty tiny. Yeah, but it's face to face. But it's just not about the seminars, okay? There's a 25-person maximum, and we got 11 spots left. They'll be gone. But people that are slow to come on board are going to miss out a key part of this because it will include a lot of what I call stair stepping to that day into the future. Our first official meeting is Monday afternoon, Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday afternoon, and then of course we hold the 3 day seminar also. Okay, so we got a lot of positive things happening there. So why should you join? Well, live meeting, that's important. Uh, the initial stock list, I gave it to Jonathan this morning, and you'll see how I add, subtract. You'll learn the art of what might work in the month of September and what might not work in the month of September. And then you'll have that list with ideas, all bets offer, early entries, just different things that setups happen before we get to the third day, and you'll see it develop, as I do it. So I'm doing a lot of work to get you off to a great September here if you take advantage of it. But you can't take advantage of it if you're still trying to decide to be there. Okay? And that's important. Now, Bill said this many years ago: if you listen, you'll end up making money. I've had about 5 conversations this week with Bill. He's a long term student of ours. Every one of those conversations has positioned him, and then I got something out of it too. He's the one I talked to about corn. His son runs the family farm and was telling me the price he received by selling his cash corn. Well, that told me that we're looking for higher prices of corn. At the time, I thought it might stop at 545, but now I believe it's going to 575. And so you pick up things, okay? But here was an example of a small class that we did where we sold it for 7.25, bought it back at $1.25. So if you had more than one contract of corn, you got paid listening. Does everybody recognize the importance that not only we talk about the process, we talk about this is where you'd enter, this is where you're wrong, and this is how you do it. That's a big value proposition for you. Okay? And then Yeah, corn, CORN is the equivalent, Dave P. CORN is equivalent ETF. I'm looking at those people and I see a lot of smiles there. See a lot of smiles. That's me talking. We get those questions answered too. That's the beautiful thing about it. Now, the culmination of this will be then, and I'll decide from the seminar if we hit our goals financially, if I don't do some more after that, okay? Because the success of this is keep it at 25 and making sure everybody really gets what they want to get to out of that face to face. I've been teaching one-on-ones and in the small classes now for a great part of 2.5, 3 years. I've got a lot of information I will share with you, issues that other people had. That alone is worth a fortune to learn how people navigated, problems that they had and got to be very successful. Because the goal is for you to make money. At the end of the day, I'm driven by that, okay? For you to make money. Now, we will take care of this and I will take and show you the chain or the decision tree, we'll call it, for doing futures, doing options, and doing stocks and how they all related together. Okay? I think that's important. This is not designed as a beginning course. I want people to put orders in and make money. Because I plan on doing a lot of trading with you. Now, futures, options, and stocks tied all together. I don't know anybody else that does all three like this, but I do it that way for a reason because I always go to futures first. That's why we call it futures first on what we do. Now, a lot of refinement, a lot of small classes. The one-on-ones that I'm actually got more demand than I've got time to doing. And then the small classes, like I said, are tied up through next March right now. So this will be a great event, a good timing of that event there in April. All markets will be considered. I'll go where the highest probability markets, and I will teach you the process to determine it for yourself. Where when you leave there, it makes it work for you. A lot of people use charts, and I'm going to start doing that with charts when we meet each month. I'll show you the setups, what to look for off maybe a monthly chart, a weekly chart, a daily chart in that 24-hour market. So we'll cover that in teaching to make sure you got the understanding of what that chart's telling you. The clear process. How many people were in live trading today? Who was there at live trading? Did you notice I said get into CRM stock at 260.55? I gave you a trigger price, didn't I? I told you what the risk was. The stock goes to 264. That's part of that process, learning those trigger numbers, learning more than just making the trade. How many people could make money if they show up today at 1:30 and I find a stock we can get into and out of and make money? How many people would know how to do that if you had that trigger number? Wouldn't it be great to know the background of why I selected out of all the stocks in the world what I'm going to select today? This is the important part of teaching, educating, and trading. We'll be highlighting the futures first stuff that we need to know. April is an interesting time in futures. And you'll see what I'm talking about when we get together, but not only when we get together, but over time, you'll see it build. Like the short we did in Japanese yen in futures first when we got started. It was in a downtrend. I said, hey, you can get short here and stay short. Well, guess what? 10-year lows in the yen. I don't ever trade the yen. I did that year. But having that context and understanding, having a game plan that you go through that checklist. I believe in checklists. You know, you have that checklist and you go through that checklist. And this is a biggie here. I'm giving a year and a half of online seminars every Monday night in my Futures First if you join. I had a guy yesterday said, hey, I bought 2 years of the Futures First. I said, well, let's add another year and a half. That's quite a bonus for people because the price of Future First is going up. I'm going to raise the price. We're in the process of going through it right now. You need to make sure if you're in Futures First that you've got a current subscription and you're ready at the current price because it is going back, it's going higher. I got plenty of people and I want to make sure that people can get the deal if they take advantage, just like I did with the weekly newsletter. No, you know, that price is going to change. 2 full days face to face on April 26th. Monday includes all 3 meals, Tuesdays, breakfast and lunch, and very serious to take advantage of it. So, one thing I want to plan in your head, I'm putting together specifically for this class a trading playbook. I will sell this trading playbook after September. If you're a member, this is another big bonus. If you get signed up today, it won't cost you a thing, at least for the first 20 people. Last 5 that hesitate, they're going to pay for it if they hesitate. If I'm still having to talk about it, get 5 more people. So I want to get everybody in at the same price. We got 10 slots left now, 10. And if you haven't made that decision, you got to get a hold of Kelly and make that decision, or Jeffrey and make that decision today. Anybody could use a little playbook to keep on their desk, a desktop version. Who likes that idea? I'm talking about a real piece of playbook for you. The price is $5,000. Get signed up. Everything that I can think of and other things will happen. Any questions for me? Any questions at all? Okay. Steve said, I signed up this morning. All right, Steve. You didn't know you were going to get a playbook with it, did you? She didn't know that. I'm adding, but that's for the first 20 that sign up. David made $400 off that CRM. Way to go, David. Take action. That's the way you do it. David, if you learn what I teach you on that, how to figure out CRM, you can do it not just one day, you can do it any day one of these stocks sets up. That's pretty inviting, huh? pretty good. All right, so I wanted to do this today. Remember, the last trade I do this week will be in the weekend side hustle. John can put a link in there if you want to join us there. But the market's under pressure, and I'm ready to go. Is that the last slide right there?
Yes, sir. That's the last slide.
Okay. All right. Well, I'd say let's wrap it up then. You gonna replay it, I guess?
Yeah, let me cut the YouTube. I'll just replay the last portion of today's training trade, going through this.
Okay. I'll be calling those people I told I'd call you today, and